Hey guys, PayDroV here. In this video, I want to cover everything going on in the political realm of things because I know there's a lot of confusion, a lot of deception, and I want to highlight certain things surrounding what has been kind of trending in the open-minded aspect of things. So, people have been talking about this coin that Mike Pence received at the Capitol on January 6th. Now, they're saying this coin he received is also subliminal and representation of the silver coins that Judas received when he betrayed Jesus Christ. Now, before everything went down as well, Trump was saying that Mike Pence has the authority to decide the election results.
Moments ago, the President of the United States said something that is not true, that the Vice President has the power to change this process, to send the certification back to the states. He does not. And the Vice President in this letter says, I do not have unilateral power. The Constitution doesn't give that to me. The Electoral Count Act that you mentioned does not give that to me. I will preside over this process. I will make no decisions.
So this made me think, well, if this is possibly the betrayal, it is being more symbolic to the whole Judah meaning. And also a week before, a guy named Liebengood was also saying Mike Pence was a traitor. But now Biden is coming out saying Mike Pence is welcome to come to his inauguration and that he would be honored.
But what about the Vice President, Mike Pence?
He's welcome. I think it's important that as much as we can stick to what have been the historical precedents of how and the circumstance in which an administration changes should be maintained. And so if the Vice President is welcome to come, we'd be honored to have him there and to move forward in the transition.
Now it all makes sense with this all being forced, and some even have to remain on track and be reminded who is in charge, as I found this clip of McConnell on January 6th at the Capitol as he is breaking apart from Trump, and in the video I noticed when he makes eye contact and the man behind him makes a hand gesture like a reminder to him of who is in charge. It was kind of odd, but I figured I'd show you guys.
Declare ourselves a national board of elections on steroids. The voters, the courts, and the states have all spoken.
Now, I want to move on to other things going on surrounding this subject. Now, this whole manifestation that they are shutting down Trump and pretending to be against him. Now, I believe this whole time they are all in it together, and this is a whole mind control mechanism.
We have just been through an intense election, and emotions are high. But now tempers must be cooled and calm restored. Now Congress has certified the results. A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power.
And this would also be programming the last president. So here it says that Trump is heading to Camp David for the weekend. And Camp David is obviously a bunker place.
One item apparently isn't on President Trump's to-do list, staying at Camp David. The U.S. Navy runs Camp David. The annual cost to taxpayers is about $8 million. It is expected the Secret Service will spend vastly more to protect the Trumps at Mar-a-Lago and other locations.
Now, I want to talk about how they are saying that Trump is now to be a smaller king. Like they are making a pathway for what I would assume be the Antichrist.
After this week, veteran political reporter Mark Halpern wrote this today. Trump has turned himself into a smaller king on a smaller hill. But he is, for now, still the king of the most important hill for tens of millions. And no one else in his party can say that.
Now, this would be a perfect timing, no doubt about it. And here, their opportunity to present it is very clear.
Trump has turned himself into a smaller king on a smaller hill, but he is, for now, still the king of the most important hill.
So now we see the betrayal, the manifestation.
The fact that you have deep concerns is of no moment to us. That jeopardizes, I believe, the legitimacy of this and subsequent elections. The president's language and rhetoric often goes too far. I think yesterday in particular, the president's language and rhetoric crossed a line and it was reckless. I disagree with it.
If Republicans don't challenge and change the U.S. election system, there'll never be another Republican president elected again. President Trump should not concede.
You're able to object. You're not doing anything wrong. Other people have objected. I just think it's a uniquely bad idea to delay this election.
Tonight, the president is going to rally support and say, listen, I think the election was rigged for me. The president lost the election, and he knew he lost the election pretty quickly afterward. I was in the White House for several weeks after the election results were called, and we all knew it. But this rhetoric started to take hold of it's been stolen, it's been rigged, and that is downright wrong, and it's dangerous.
The ballots that are fraudulent, and if we're wrong, we will be made fools of. But if we're right, a lot of them will go to jail. So, let's have trial by combat.
I meant we would have trial by the machines being in combat with each other and the ballots being in combat with each other.
Now, what makes me believe that Trump is part of their plan into the deception is that they are saying that Twitter was only becoming relevant was because of Trump. And Twitter is the symbol of the bird. The bird is also the messenger. And with technology, this is the virtual reality.
And some argue that Mr. Trump is the single most influential Twitter user there is on the platform. His 88 million followers account for almost half of the daily user traffic on Twitter. So a huge influence there.
Well, 4 or 5 years ago, Twitter was $18 a share. It closed at over $50 a share, large in part because President Trump made the platform relevant again. And this is a very, very disturbing turn of events when the current president of the United States, as we are talking right now, is restricted from communicating to 88 million people. Some could argue could potentially be a national security risk.
And if you understand it, they are programming this and manifesting this through the virtual reality. And with Trump having 88 million followers, the number 88 could have significance and meaning to the numerology. So this goes much deeper than we think.
Apple is saying to Parler, we're going to kick you off unless you do what we want in terms of censoring conservatives. Now, that is really frightening.
We are learning more about the people who stormed the building. They include conspiracy theorists, of course, and QAnon supporters who contest the presidential election. But all of it comes as misinformation about who was behind the violence spawns new conspiracy theories, all in an attempt to shift the blame.
Usually calls like this are made up the chain. It's not necessarily individual officers, but it's a leadership problem. Usually calls like this are made up the chain. It's not necessarily individual officers, but it's a leadership problem.
We thank our valiant law enforcement officers who are true American heroes.
U.S. Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund has already resigned. That happened yesterday after criticism over his apparent lack of preparedness to deal with Wednesday's violent mob.
Today, we learned that a sixth life, another Capitol Police officer, was lost. He is identified as 51-year-old Howard Liebengood. In a statement, the Capitol Police say the 15-year veteran was among the officers who responded to the rioting. He died off duty.
In denying authorization for the Maryland National Guard, what was the reason given?
Well, none of us really spoke to the Secretary of Defense, but we were repeatedly being told by the National Guard at the national level that we did not have authorization. I was actually on the phone with Leader Hoyer, who was pleading with us to send the Guard. He was yelling across the room to Schumer, and they were back and forth saying, we do have the authorization. And I'm saying, I'm telling you, we do not have the authorization. And so we had multiple times. The general was, we running up the flagpole, we're ready. Don't have authorization. Don't have authorization. And then I get a call an hour and a half later out of the blue, not from the Secretary of Defense, not through what would be normal channels. You know, I got a number I don't recognize on my phone. I, pick it up anyway. Larry Hogan. And it's like, this Ryan McCarthy, Secretary of the Army, Governor, can you come as soon as possible? It was, it was like, yeah, we've been waiting. We're ready.
As lawmakers prepare to return to Washington, the Capitol's attending physician warns in a new memo obtained by CBS News that they may have been exposed to someone who tested positive for coronavirus while they were holed up during the siege.
Scenes. Here it is, Becky. And did you check, is the first thing you did to check for underlying conditions with Congressman Luke Leto? That's the first thing I did.
I didn't see anything.
No,
I didn't see anything that came up with it.
There weren't any.
Right. This is the story that Joe was just mentioning
41.
about Congressman-elect Luke Letlow of Louisiana has died of complications from the coronavirus.
There is a nationwide manhunt underway tonight. The Fed studying those horrifying images and videos and already making arrests tonight.
A multi-state search is underway for the men and women who committed federal crimes at the U.S. Capitol when it was taken over by the angry mob. The FBI released these photos, working to track down all the rioters involved.
Ramping up efforts to bring all the Trump supporters who desecrated the Capitol to justice.
An article posted on the website of the right-leaning newspaper The Washington Times claimed the facial recognition company XR Vision identified members of Antifa in the crowd using its technology. 2 individuals affiliated with the Maryland skinheads, as well as a third individual, a known QAnon supporter.
There were individuals that would have loved to conduct political assassinations or bombings. It's a little questionable why that didn't happen, but this could have been so much worse than it was. There were individuals that would have loved to conduct political assassinations or bombings. It's a little questionable why that didn't happen, The
greatest form of control is where you think you're free, when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free.
But then it's too late, we need to be ready to raise up. Welcome to the